Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. If you were able to make it to today's show, you're in for a treat because this will be one to remember. A lot's happened over the last 48 hours. Trump pled not guilty to more charges against him under an 88 umbrella. These are snapshots from outside the courthouse, and there you see 8 circles and 8 pieces of the umbrella. Back to the Future, 88 miles per hour. We're going to talk a little bit about this today and what this means. It's crazy. Just a few hours before the show today, I was screening a brand new film about time travel. The film is called Lola, and it's a found footage film, and it ranks in the top 10 of popular films from this year. It's actually from 2022, but for some reason it showed up under the 2023 rankings for 2023 films. And the movie is about 2 sisters from the 1940s who build a time machine. And I'm about 10 minutes into the film, and one of the dates that they pull up on the time machine is the 88th day of the year, March 29th, my birthday. Now, we've talked about this day over the years, right? For those that follow the channel. I'll do a full decode on this film, obviously, at some point. We'll just dedicate a whole show to this. We talked about the significance of the 88th day of the year being that 88 number from Back to the Future. And we've also talked about the date October 4th, which has 88 days remaining in the year. It's a mirror date of March 29th. And of course, October 4th appeared in the Back to the Future film as a time on the clock tower when Marty jumped through time, 10:04 p.m. when he reached 88 miles an hour and went back to the future. Now, we had a re-upload broadcast. That was Friday, just before the election. 2020 was when that video was uploaded. And at the end of that video, we predicted that Biden would win the election to create maximum chaos. Again, that was from 2020. It was re-upload. And that's exactly what happened. The witch hunt, the chaos that ensued after the Biden win actually happened. Now that Trump had done his job as the father of the poker, they handed it off to Biden to get everything back on track with the climate change agenda and the electric kingdom. During that upload, that re-upload, we lost the chat for about 5 minutes. For those of you that tuned in, mysterious shutting down of the chat as we were getting into deep truth on that broadcast. Now, make no mistake, Trump will be billed as the former president who came back from impossible odds to win another election. I believe he will win the next election. And he wouldn't still be the nominee if this wasn't the case. They would have ditched him a long time ago. Now, what is going on with this? And why do they keep resurrecting Trump? Why is all the focus on him in politics? Why is he still the nominee, even after everything that's happened? Well, the attack on Trump is really a proxy attack on the ideas of the conservative right-leaning people, which is all of us. And of course, he's in on it. All the people at the top are in on this. They're basically, through Trump, defining everything that they wish to discredit about moral conservatives through this Trump humiliation ritual. And this is why so many people on the right relate to him, because they're taking the bait. So, people follow him because they're gaining approval through his sick projection. So what does Trump represent? Well, he represents the consummate weaknesses of everything conservative. The parts about being morally conservative or conservative that a lot of people aren't proud of. The tendency towards greed, racial insensitivity, a form of Christianity with no power. These attributes are highlighted through the Trump experience, aren't they? They're the worst part about us as moral Christians. Now, this was done intentionally so that when they imploded him, right? Because that's what's happening right now. It's an implosion of the right. A controlled demolition. It's just the same as Trump and the towers falling into their own footprint. It's the same thing. They're just doing it with a person now. And by proxy, when you try to defend his words and actions, you take on the sin. You take on the lie. Now, I've been studying this for years, as many of you know. It's the only logical conclusion I can come to with what we witnessed with all this.
For America, when you look at what's happening, this is a persecution of a political opponent. This was never supposed to happen in America. We can't let this happen in America. Thank you very much, everyone.
Do you want these trials to happen before?
With the 88 umbrella. So there it is. Of course, he's pled not guilty, but this is the latest in the humiliation ritual. Now, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Revelation and the end times plagues. I believe we are almost here. We're going to examine the new Lyme disease vaccine study, as well as a paper on how people who got the COVID vaccine had a leprosy reaction. Yes, leprosy. And this coincides with an uptick in leprosy cases in Central Florida. Now, the study we're going to look at, where a few people got a leprosy reaction from the vaccine, that was from 2021. So it doesn't seem to coincide with the recent uptick in cases. But we're going to examine all this just because, right? Because it's in the news. We have seemed to enter the age of the Revelation plagues, the grievous sores. Now, I want to go into the Bible for a bit this morning and read about this before we start talking about this. Let me check in with you guys, make sure we're good. We're going to go into Revelation 16:2. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon which worshipped his image. Notice that both the mark and the worship of the image are mentioned here. Let's go to Revelation 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So, this seems to say that there will be an escape from the plagues by those of us who come out of her. This is what I've been trying to tell people. I've been met with harsh criticism for telling people to get out of her, but these are biblical tenets. God is ordering us to get out of this. Get out of their system. Get out of her. Otherwise, we're going to be partakers in the plagues. Let's read another part of Revelation. This is Revelation 14:9-10. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man, now I want you to listen very carefully. If any man worshipped the beast and his image and receive his mark in their forehead or in his hand, you need to do both. The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and the presence of the Lamb. Now, as I said before, this suggests that the mark might not be a choice. And this is why Revelation keeps mentioning both of these things that have to take place. The worship and the mark. Because the mark will be caused, all will be caused to receive the mark, great and small, rich and poor, free and bond. King James Version, there it is right there. Now, what else is going on? Well, you shouldn't go out and try to find the mark. Absolutely not. Refuse it at all costs. Do not take the mark. But it might not be a choice, is what Revelation seems to be saying. Now, there are many, many more plagues mentioned in Revelation. But this one that we just covered, this physical ailment, is a little bit different, isn't it? It's some kind of disease, a grievous sore. The other plagues are like heat on the earth. Some people have postulated that it could be something that has to do with electromagnetic radiation, the grass drying up, dying, the oceans dying. These are the plagues that are mentioned. But this one about the grievous sore is different because it's a physical ailment, some type of disease. Now, I couldn't believe this next story that one of you sent me. And I'm going to be very careful in covering this, because this is right out of the National Institutes of Health.gov. And this particular study says that multibacillary leprosy was unmasked by a COVID-19 vaccination. Yes, people got leprosy, or it manifested after they got, and they're admitting it here. They're literally admitting it. And for those of you that think some of the vaccines are better than the other because Trump made one and not the other, I got news for you. You're still asleep. This was the Pfizer one that was looked at. Now let's read this. A 24-year-old Indian man was admitted with swelling of hands, feet, earlobes, and lips. He also had bilateral ankle pain and swelling. He developed symptoms 10 to 15 days after receiving the first dose of the Pfizer. I'm not going to say the words too many times because it could flag this video. Look at this. Leprosy. This is unbelievable. Now, I'm going to fast forward to the end of this study. I'll put links to all this for those of you that want to see this. There's also been recent talk of another study, 1 in 35, heart damage. I put a link to that in our Facebook group. Only like 3 or 4 people thumbs it up. I don't know what's going on with the Facebook group. Maybe you guys aren't getting notifications. But this is very, very important because it's all being revealed right now. I checked all of these for fact checks, and none of this is even fact checked yet. Well, I guess we'll have to see in the coming weeks and days, right? Look at this. I'm going to read this last part. mRNA smack the nation has been shown to elicit T-cell responses early on. So this is an immune response. And early T-cell and binding antibody responses are associated with the vaccine efficacy, onset of vaccine effect. Therefore, it is plausible that T-cell mediated immune upregulation elicited by the vaccine may result in a type 1 leprosy reaction. Why are we just hearing this now? Now, if you don't know about leprosy, it's an opportunistic type of disease. In other words, most people have an immune system that fights off this bacteria, even though they might have it on their skin or wherever. You never manifest symptoms because you have some kind of immune response to it, and it gets rid of it. But if your immune system is compromised in some way, that is where the leprosy will manifest. Now, here's what's going on in our timeline. 2023, October 2nd, leprosy appears to be on the rise in Florida. Now, according to this article, I'm not going to read the whole thing. In the United States, there are about 200 leprosy cases every year, and 1/5 of them are from Florida. Now, most of the rest of these cases, most of them are in the South. And though this uptick has been going on for decades, Central Florida is now emerging as the new hotspot post-pandemic of leprosy cases. So what we have here is some kind of biblical plague re-emerging, don't we? Now, I'm going to check in with you guys and see what your thoughts are before we proceed on with this. We also have tick-borne diseases. They're also on the rise, which also cause a grievous sore as well, don't they? And so this is really crazy, you guys. Seems as though we're approaching the time of the grievous sore mentioned in Revelation. We also know that there's a tick-borne illness that causes a meat allergy, which curiously aligns perfectly with the agenda of the controllers to put us all in a meatless future. It's hard to imagine that this isn't a bioweapon. That's basically forcing people not to eat meat, is what it's shaping up to be. They're also working on a Lyme disease vaccine. Let's take a look at this. A Lyme disease vaccine study. It's called Valor. Wow. Investigational Lyme disease vaccine study is underway for healthy children and adults who live and frequently visit areas that may expose them to ticks. Gosh, they didn't even spell this right. Frequently visited areas is what it's supposed to say. This is right off of Pfizer. They might want to fix that. Sorry, they got it right. Who live in or frequently visit areas that may expose them to ticks. Wow. So this is fear of the woods, fear of the wilderness. Look at this logo here. Valor. I wonder what that, if there's, it stands for Vaccine Against Lyme for Outdoor Recreationalists. And of course, it's got the 3 pyramids of Egypt. Wow. About the Valor Lyme disease vaccine study. Lyme disease is a common illness caused by a bacteria found in ticks. So we all know that. Currently, there are no approved vaccines available to prevent Lyme disease. The Valor study is an ongoing clinical trial, which has already enrolled more than 6,000 adults and 800 children. So they're studying all this. They're going to come out with some kind of vaccine. Unbelievable. Who can participate? Healthy adults and children 5 years of age or older who live in and often visit outdoor areas. So they're going after the children as well in terms of this study. So, what to expect? Participants will be randomly assigned to receive the study vaccine or a placebo. With no active ingredient, participants in the study doctor will not know which has been assigned. The study will last 2.5 years, during which time participants will have at least 7 in-clinic study visits and blood draws. Well, we'll keep an eye on this. It should be interesting. Lyme disease. Now, what else do we have? Well, let's get caught up on the Blacklist, because they talk about doppelgangers. This is season 8. And in this episode, Liz hires a doppelganger, a surrogate, like an avatar. And she essentially possesses the avatar and speaks through her. Let's take a look.
A timeless tale, perfectly adapted to the criminal world.
What the hell is he talking about?
To be your eyes, your ears, and your voice. Imagine being able to hire trained operatives, ex-Mossad, discharged military personnel, agents of all stripes. She's the master of her own puppet, an avatar of herself.
Are you saying that Liz can hear everything her Cyranoid can?
Yes.
You obviously are working with her. You're some kind of a surrogate. So why don't you tell me how I can help?
Wrestler, I told you what I need.
Just got the forensics back from the scene. No hit on the prints and nothing off facial recognition. Whoever Keen's doppelganger is, she's not in any database.
And how did she find someone that looks exactly like her?
Offering a physical likeness of their employer while broadcasting the experience to said employer.
Broadcasting how?
Cyranoids are the solution. They're paid surrogates. A device in the eye, a gadget in the ear. I don't know how the magic works. I'm told it's a voyeur's delight.
If you're right and this is Elizabeth stand-in, why would she give herself up?
My suspicion, Harold, is that she hasn't.
What's this? You're not on my schedule. Commissioner, are you in there?
This is surreal.
I'll get to the point. I need information on one of your contracts.
Are you feeding Mr. Beast?
I found some rather overcooked salmon in your...
So, there you heard it, doppelgangers, which has been a common theme on this channel, examining the doppelganger phenomenon. And then we get this surprise at the end of season 8, in these next scenes in a different episode, direct hints about the Syrinx vocal organ of birds. You know, the one that we talked about, the vocal organ that causes a bird to tweet, that's shaped like the letter Y in their throat. It's called a Syrinx. And we just discovered this last week with the Twitter X rebranding announcement. And we had just discovered that injections and microwaves go hand in hand. The word syringe, of course, was derived from syrinx. So syringe, injection, syrinx, sound. Now, who was Syrinx? Syrinx was the nymph of Artemis. Sound and injections. Watch.
refrigerator. Apparently he's not a picky eater. He was an American physicist in the 1940s. Percy Spencer, ring any bells? He was working on radar technology when he...
Ring any bells is also a clue because it's about ringing of bells. It's about sound. Let's keep watching.
Stood too close to a magnetron and noticed that the candy bar in his pocket had melted. And with that, Percy Spencer invented the first microwave oven. Then and there, he realized that radio waves could heat food. And they paid him $2 for it. $2 for one of the defining inventions of American life.
So, hopefully you saw that connection there. The microwaves and the birds tweeting in the background. Twitter, tweet, Tov, which is the letter of the Hebrew alphabet. The last letter. This is why Elon Musk changed the Twitter brand to X, because it's about Syrinx with an X at the end. The vocal organ of the bird that and how it tweets. I hope that you guys are picking all this up. It's been a lot of research and a lot of years. The microwave bird connection. Now, what else is going on? Well, this is crazy because this drives it all home. you're going to actually see, this is Liz here, and she has a burn on her wrist. And over the seasons, remember, we're on the 8th or 9th season in this episode here. Nobody really knew what this burn was about. We knew it had a weird shape, but now we figured it out. Watch. The shape of the burn is the syrinx of the bird's throat. It's shaped like a Y. Now, this is crazy because at this point of the series, Liz is begging and begging Reddington to tell her the whole truth about her, why he cares so much about her, where she came from, the truth about her mother, the truth about her father. And Reddington won't tell her, but at the end, he finally brings her to a secret location in Latvia. And he tells the story of how this place, this bay here, matches her burn scar on her right hand. She's marked with the syrinx, the syringe, the vocal organ of the bird, the tweet, whatever you want to call it, the sound frequency. Listen to Reddington's words. This is the syrinx here. As you can see, it is Y-shaped, just like her burn. Now you know why Twitter changed their logo.
We're going to Latvia? For what?
For answers. One day there was on a map. Not a perfect match, but eerily close. It became the symbol of an image.
So, the place where Reddington's intelligence apparatus is based is in Latvia. And this is where he brings Liz to show her his intelligence apparatus, which is basically a bunker, a hardened bunker, with a room full of hundreds of people poring over intelligence. Which is like tweets. Little birds. Little birds have often been compared to secret intelligence, haven't they? In the Game of Thrones, I believe they called the little children who were spies, they called them birds. Listening in and reporting back. Tweeting back. Duplicating the voice is probably where this came from, this whole idea of a bird being like secret intelligence.
Representing the danger you faced, the most important aspect of my business, and the promise to protect you from it. The decisions I made.
So obviously this logo is inside, this is inside the intelligence apparatus in Latvia, in Riga, Latvia, which is the capital. And there you see the map of the bay.
And it's all analog.
Analyzed.
Intel.
Leaked documents, intercepted communiques, secrets from governments, corporations.
By the way, where are we? A nest in Latvia. Even for you, this is a tad dramatic.
Everyone wanted something, and I wanted everything, including a nest in Latvia.
So you hear him compare it even to a nest. I hope you're understanding all this. And I hope you're understanding why Elon Musk bought Twitter and turned it into X. It should be all be making sense right now in this episode of the the Blacklist, the season of the Blacklist, which predated all of this. This is all the way back. I think 2020, maybe 2021 is when season 8 came out.
The country is home to more than 7,000 breeding pairs of storks. And, well, it's a nest.
Yes.
Now, if you haven't figured it out by now, let's go back into the chat because I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. If you haven't figured it out by now, Liz is lizard. And birds are feathered lizards, aren't they? And that's why Liz has a burn on her right hand in the shape of a vocal organ of a bird, the syrinx. Now, there's actually some artwork from the 1600s, 1637 to be exact. This is actually called Syrinx and Pan. Here you see Syrinx with her arrows, her hollow reeds, which are arrows, and behind her a field of reeds. And in the background you see Pan chasing her. Syrinx, syringe. She's the nymph of Artemis, which is Apollo's twin. The Artemis program, space program by Trump, Apollo. It can't get any more exact than this. So Liz has the burn on her right hand. She has the mark on her right hand, the vocal organ of the birds. This is all about frequencies and injections. The dragon's weapon of choice. Now, if you need even more proof, this is the main bridge of Latvia, the Vansu Bridge. And even it has the shape of the syrinx right there in the bridge. What could this mean? Well, here's my guess. The bridge, if we were to take them at their word, that syrinx is a syringe, it would be the two turning into one. The two turning into one. Now, I did a little research on Riga, which is the city that Reddington just mentioned. Let's finish this up here. And what I found was that this place, Riga, that Reddington mentioned, is derived from the word ringa, which is the word that means loop, like a crown or a ring. Now, here is the final clue in this montage that I put together for you guys. Helium. As they approach the end of season 8. Watch.
Yes, we're all quite happy with the way things turned out, Harold.
Please tell me you're above such things.
I think it's childish and completely unprofessional.
Do you believe me now about why we've been digging into helium? Flocks of birds move like liquid helium. This is a 2014 article, and hopefully now you can see how all this is connected. A flock of starlings flies as one, a spectacular display in which each bird flits about as if in a well-choreographed dance. Everyone seems to know exactly when and where to turn. Now, for the first time, researchers have measured how that knowledge moves through the flock, a behavior that mirrors certain quantum phenomenon of liquid helium. There's a rabbit hole that we have not gone down yet. Researchers have since turned to more scientifically sound ideas using mathematical models.
A timeless tale. Perfectly.
And there you go. So we'll dig into that more as well. There's got to be more to that story. Why birds fly like liquid helium, right? There's got to be some kind of phenomenon connected to that now that we know what the birds are about. Now, tomorrow, on tomorrow's show, we are going back to Long Island to Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower. One of you told me that next to the tower is a 9/11 memorial. Here is the Wardenclyffe Tower, and here is the 9/11 memorial. The two are about 87 meters from the center of the circle of the 9/11 memorial to the center of the octagon of the former Wardenclyffe Tower. And what I found was decisive proof that 369, the secret to the universe, is actually also 237. The two numbers are one in the same, and I'm going to demonstrate that to you on tomorrow's show as we break this down, this memorial and its connection to Tesla's Wardenclyffe lab. We're also going to dig into the all-seeing eye symbolism of this memorial. You can see the 237 right here in the memorial, with 2 walkways, 3 bushes, and 7 benches. Can't wait to show that to you guys tomorrow. There's so much proof. There's even a Tesla model that has a 237-mile radius. Let's go into the chat. Mind blown. I told you guys this would be a show to remember. Let's go into the chat and see what you guys are up to. Good morning. The cure is the disease. Yes, R. Davis. Yes, we figured out the meaning of 369. It's actually 237. I'll show that to you. It's actually a discovery we made 8 years ago on this channel. I'm going to show you that video tomorrow in which we found the 237 and didn't even realize we found it 8 years ago. It was a simple mathematical equation. And that video got hammered with negativity. How dare you think you figured out the secret of 369? You're no mathematician, you're no Tesla. But guess what? We have the Holy Spirit on our side, don't we? Maybe I'll give you a sneak peek of the mathematical equation that we found 8 years ago that shows that 369 is 237. This is one video on the channel that did go viral at almost 200,000 views. But here is the mathematical equation. Here you see 3, 6, and 9. And there is the number 37. 37 and 73 are mirror numbers of one another. And when you multiply the number 37 times 3 and then times 6 and then times 9, you get 111, 222, and 333. And there you clearly see that 369 is 237. Now, you would think that since somebody solved the secret of 369, this video would go viral, but it won't. The algorithms hide all this. They want to also hide the beam weapon that melted steel, that turned steel into dust. They want to hide all of that. So these secrets will never be seen unless you guys do your diligence to try as hard as you can to get these videos out to as many people as possible and help them understand that there are no accidents, that we are witnessing some kind of phenomenon, a supernatural phenomenon. We're seeing into the spiritual, and God is allowing this to happen so that all that was hidden will be revealed, so that people have a fair chance at knowing the truth, so they're not deceived by the enemy. All right, what else is going on in here? Yes, we will also cover an episode of Blacklist that is all about a directed energy weapon that just so happened to emerge as I was binge watching Blacklist. It's season 9. We're on some kind of course, aren't we? On some kind of track, on some kind of time continuum in which the very things we're decoding are being manifested in our reality. God is good, isn't he? He does not want us to walk in darkness. He wants us all to know the truth. Small group here, but all that matters is that the truth gets out. Whoever wants to hear it will hear it. Whoever doesn't won't. That's not up to us in terms of how many people hear the truth. All right. Well, I love each and every one of you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be another bombshell show, dropping more truth. You're not going to believe it. It's crazy. I couldn't even believe it. I'm still in shock about what was revealed to me. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care and be safe.